And the final game of today is here. OXG against SSG. Welcome back, everyone, to the NAL Play Day 3, first one of week number 2. I'm Ginny, and I'm joined with Foxay and Lax. We're going to talk about this one because OXG, SSG, both of these rosters have 1 win, 1 loss, and SSG specifically, a lot to prove considering they were number 1 seed last stage.
Yeah, and both teams had a pretty good showing at EWC, better than what we expected them to show. So obviously now to come back into the NAL and find, a little bit of struggling. I mean, it's about getting back to basics, putting one foot in front of the other. And obviously both teams, yes, do have something to prove. They obviously want to make the major, and it's teams that we expect to see them there. So we want to see a little bit more consistency, a little bit more on SSG side because they were number 1 in NA last stage.
OXG, though, they also actually managed to go to EWC, which I think a lot of people weren't expecting. A lot of people were expecting M80 to be the one heading over there, and they went there and still had a solid showing.
Yeah, I mean, they squeaked by last stage. I wouldn't say we fully counted them out, but we weren't really sure what was going to happen. Because, again, when you look at that roster, everyone is very talented in their own right. The biggest struggle for them was finding their foundation and knowing what to do on these attacks. I would say that's where they have absolutely struggled the most, whether that's been regionally or even internationally, as they have continuously, even in throughout this stage, are lacking depth in their attacks.
Yeah, and when we are looking at OXG specifically, it was the game against Cruelty in round 5 that really had a lot of us throwing up the question mark.
Yeah, I mean, again, when you're looking at Oxygen and specifically on their attacks, it's always been a proprietor that this is where they struggle the absolute most. And a lot of it, like I've said time and time again, a lot of that comes back to Force of being able to understand the win conditions, being able to understand the plays that need to be made in order to make a round successful. And especially in round 5, as you said, this round could have gone perfectly in so many different ways. But the big issue here is that Forrest has the bomb. And I've said this, when Forrest is on the shield, he needs to not only utilize that shield properly in taking position, but also setting his team up for success. But what he does here at the start was great. He uses the shield to try to take that space, but the problem is he dies first. He loses the diffuser inside train. That now sets up Cruelty to be able to play these crossfires. They know that bomb is down. There's nothing that can be done from the Oxygen side. Whereas you see the setup, it was clearly set up to go for an execute and go for a plant. But again, because of Forrest's negligence to understand what actually needs to follow through to make this round successful, they end up losing a round that realistically should have gone in their favor. But this is happening time and time again, and a lot of it really is on the backing of Forrest. But a player like Adam really also contributed heavy into Oxygen's success throughout that Cruelty matchup with his play and with his entry. So again, when you're looking at two things, one, Adam needing to be a big standout player and standout performer that we saw in that match, but then also falling back to Forrest, needing to be that IGL, needing to utilize those shields, and really understand the strat that he is implementing in these rounds, because Oxygen hasn't really looked too convincing in their past 2 matches.
Sheesh. Thank you for your OXG TED Talk. A lot of very insightful information. But the thing is as well, like, when we're looking at a roster like OXG making these mistakes, if any team is going to punish those mistakes immediately, it is a team like SSG.
Absolutely.
That is pretty much locked in.
Yeah, but we're seeing some trends from SSG. I mean, obviously, what we saw in week 1 was a very strong first day, but then day 2, it was a night and day difference. And you can see, because of the maps, I feel like that is the biggest issue for SSG. SSG's game plan works tremendously well when they're forced to play next to each other because of the map size, and obviously with their very calculated aggression. But we saw on Nighthaven Labs, that's the exact opposite of what they did against Wildcard. Individualized all over the map, 1v1s, trying to hold mass amount of positions, going for these fights together, but they're so split up that even if something goes wrong, they're not in an area to be able to help each other at all. It's very individual fights that you would hope SSG wouldn't be doing because of how successful they are on the smaller maps.
Yeah, and the game against Wildcard specifically, I think threw a lot of us a bit for a spanner in terms of like what went wrong here, and round 9, if anything, was quite a bit of a highlight of that.
Yeah, I mean, it was an easy round win for SSG. They have such huge man advantage just because Wildcard tries to go for a retake. They get the first 2 picks, put it into a 5v2, but look at where everybody is spread out on the map. We have 2 people upstairs holding different areas. We have 3 people downstairs holding different areas, and all 1v1s coming down to Wildcard. And of course, you shouldn't be losing fights like this in the first place, but if you give a great player the opportunity to win a gunfight, like we saw Surf do today, they can easily get that back. And this was an easy round one. Post plants down. If everyone just stays alive from SSG, nothing would go south. This would have been an easy one round. So that is the main issue for SSG, is even when they have all this control on these big maps, they're not used to playing passive. They're not used to playing that time. They're trying to go aggressive. They're trying to get in your face, cause you to make the mistake. But on a big map where there's a lot of room to be malleable, it causes SSG to just give opening kills that, yes, it can go either way, but that's a prime example of how it can be a double-edged sword and go south. So I feel like SSG's main plan should be, one, slowing it down on bigger maps, and then two, is making sure that they're just playing the smaller maps in the first place, because the games would be easier and done at that point.
So 3, just don't pick any of the bigger maps and ban every single one of them. Wish we were going to be looking at the map veto to see whether or not that is the strategy that they have decided to stick to.
I mean, let's definitely not see another cafe from either one of these teams. But for me, it really isn't going to come down to the map. I mean, SSG historically, throughout this last stage, throughout playoffs, throughout even EWC, SSG has been absolutely dominating Oxygen. And for me, for Oxygen, the biggest thing is no matter where this map comes down to, it's being able to understand and how to play against the aggression of SSG. And even looking at a VOD of Wildcard and SSG, you can dissect that and see where SSG is lacking. Sure, on Border, you're not going to find people out on an island by themselves, but you can still pick apart at an SSG setup and realize, okay, they're going to get aggressive on some side of the map. Double up on it. Play that man advantage. Get that peak if you can, because we know, again, SSG is going to play aggressive, especially on a map like Border, especially where a lot of these maps a lot of these positions are going to be heavily contested. You can pick apart an aggressive strat like this that SSG is going to be throwing at you.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect situation for both teams, though. I feel like OXG, I mean, Border hasn't been a great map for them as of recently, but they do have the players to be able to do it. We've talked about them needing to identify an entry, and I think it's safe to say that's what Adam's been doing. He's been very successful on that entry role. The biggest issue has been force and not overextending. So on a map like Border, where the smallest misstep can make you overextend, a lot will be on his shoulders to see how he's able to divert that attention and play safely and then lead the team. As for SSG, perfect map for them as well. I mean, they're very aggressive. Ashen, Newers, especially holding these pinhold positions in CC and E stairs, that'll be where the first battles take place. And obviously, again, it's all going to come down on the Forest. Can he be useful on that shield? Can he play slow after they get positioning? But that's the biggest question.
For me, then, it's a matter of predictions, because we're kind of like highlighting this as going to be like an equal battleground. Are we saying because SSG is a bit more disciplined, they will be able to punish these mistakes? But there's also a world where OXG will maybe not make these mistakes?
I'll let you go.
I think SSG, just because they are used to playing on slower maps, it forces them to play a very hyper-aggressive style of play that not many teams are, wary of. I feel like that'll be able to take advantage of OXG, take advantage of Force, unless we see a change from them.
All right, well, this is our final game of today, and we have our casters ready to cover this one as well. They've put in a great shift, so once again, Jesse and Intero, the floor is yours, or the mic.
Well, I mean, I think we are both standing on floors. We are standing, period. So the floor is underneath us. We have clocked in a good shift here. I punched in earlier today, and I'll be punching out once we are done with this best of one. And then I'll be going to the nearest 24-hour clothing store to buy as much green apparel as I can to humiliate and mock Jesse for the remainder of this stage.
What is that supposed to mean? You know what? I got a very nice DM from Laxing earlier today saying that he really liked my shirt. And if there's anybody I trust in fashion more than you, it's Laxing.
I mean, Fox didn't message you, I guess, but you'll settle for Laxing.
Well, we're here on Border, Parker, and Border tends to be the Wild West when it comes to operator bans, especially on the attack. We'll get rid of 2 blinding operators as far as SSG care to go against, both the Ying and the Blitz being taken out for Border. My personal favorite operator bans on this map. I think generally this is such a good map for both those ops. Removing them is very smart. Ying will continue to maintain her 100% ban rate on Border this stage in North America. And OXG ban Azami plus Castle, a very common combo on a lot of maps. common as well on Border, but not the go-to for most teams, as a zombie smoke tends to be a more popular option. Castle can still be really powerful for blocking off certain angles in the hallway, like those two double archways that Ashen is running through, as well as for any basement or any bathroom hold, can make locking down East Stairs area a lot more successful for you. So definitely see some value in that Castle ban as well. And so we'll get to see what SSG can do now on the defense with Smoke left up, Mira left up, some powerful operators still being played by them today.
Fascinated to see how we close out this match on the most chaotic, hectic, and, to coin the term, or well, to use the term, Hell in a Cell match on Border here. Not really picked as often as you'd think. It was towards the top in stage 1. Only been played once in stage 2. But it's a coin flip. It's very, very close to 50-50. Wouldn't surprise me either way for these teams to win. This was back in either match 1 or match 2 of today, where I said there's no hope whatsoever in trying to predict whether OXG or SSG will have a good game or a bad game. You just have to kind of ride the waves here. SSG had a series of good games all the way back in stage 1. They are the stage 1 champions. Yes, that's right. They did not finish in the top 2 of the groups, but during the playoff stage, when it came to best of 3s, they excelled and defeated Dark Zero in the grand finals. They've got a good read right now, taking down Forest, and oh my goodness, how was Benja allowed to live, or how was Ashen allowed to live for this long period of a time? Newer's former OXG player gunned down by Gomez. Now it's Grixer taking quite a beating, and they've isolated Ashen in this position. Still inside of security, smoke in front of his eyes. Yaga will get Diffuser down. 8 players still upright, and the timer will now start. 40 seconds to go. These two teams will have to come to blows pretty quickly. Adam on the ground, sitting on the Diffuse kit. He catches. Benja Master flicks over to Ashen as well. Excellent start, and it's OXG with Gomez and Grixer to do some serious work.
Grixer keeping up the vibes from Playday 2, where he brought out his favorite hat to play on the broadcast, and a really solid round from everybody on OXG. Forrest dying early to that vert angle being played by Ashen was scary. That's your IGL, and usually that's the guy with a fuse kit, but this time that wasn't going to be the case. Forrest, whatever his plan was, wasn't necessary to make that push go well for Oxygen. Ended up getting control of lockers as soon as they got that frag onto Newers, who was the only player really in sight to stop that plant. And then they ended up smoking behind them because they knew that was going to be the angle where Ashen would have been able to deny the plant. So good use of smokes from OXG to make sure that couldn't happen. And then really strong post plant, particularly from Adam, ratting down behind the wall, popping up for a second. Really well played by him. Altogether, perfect round from OXG, and should be feeling good about this engagement. Historically, this has not been a matchup that Oxygen have fared very well in. Over the last 5 seasons, SSG have a 14-3 record over OXG, which is kind of ridiculous going back that far. They are 3-0 this season as well, beating Oxygen both in Stage 1 groups, the Stage 1 playoffs, and in Riyadh. So very dominant showing from Spacestation, but after getting kind of rocked in Playday 2 by Wildcard, you do have to wonder if we're going to see that same aggressive playstyle that usually works so well from SSG shine through today.
It's a great question, and one worth asking, one that will only be answered as we get a couple rounds in, and then the answer will actually be more of us just looking back. It won't be us actually being like, wow, yeah, we were right. It'll be like, oh, so this happened, and now we have the benefit of hindsight to tell us how good we were. We are smart people. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, OXG did a couple things really, really well. Number 1, you had Benja Master, who was set up over towards 90. You had Ashen supporting him. What did they do? They smoked off those positions and immediately hit the front of the site. The only person that was holding that position was Newers, and he fell really quickly, which forced the remaining 4 players of SSG to respond. You've got 190, you've got 1 in security, you've got the other 2 playing Fountain office side in the back of the other site. Who is going to push up to the position where the breach wall is? Not really anybody. You have Benja try to do it. Maybe Ashen is going to try to do it, but they don't know if there's players sitting in that position. They don't know what the smoke is concealing. It was a great read by Oxygen. J90 guns down Forest. He has been the first to die twice now Yes, you heard that correctly. Forest has been the first casualty through both rounds. Yaga trades out Fultz before Ashen trades out Adam, and boy, oh boy, SSG will continue to hold this lead if they continue to trade back and forth. Jane, I know, and Ashen might be living on borrowed time, though, Jesse, as they are both just a single point of HP away from a grave. Gomez now down below, tussling with whichever defender decides to show themselves above. Benja will collect the remaining hits of Gomez and then reposition over towards Passport, where the remaining player from OXG lays, and then Benja kills him. Look at this. Trades. What are we, Wolf of Wall Street? What's going on here? Space Station wins the round.
I mean, there certainly weren't really trades going Oxygen's way. Space Station were doing their best at it, but OXG consistently losing gunfights, scattered around the map, not playing together. Forest, unlike in round one, did have the defuse kit. So when he sneaks all the way to site on Nook, that's the defuse kit that does get dropped. Now, I guess it's dropped in sight. There are worse places to drop it, but still a confusing way to start that round. Then Adam's solo play walks into an Ella mine top floor and dies. It's another solo kill then from Gomez to go down mid floor, and Grixer is kind of with them, but not really close enough. That's probably around OXG would like to redo, but won't get the chance until at least round 5 when they can approach the same bomb site. I know the desk was quite critical of Forest in the pregame of this matchup, and I think there's definitely some fair points being made, but so far for this Oxygen team, he's been playing really solo, really by himself in strange positions, and I do have to wonder if maybe, especially as an IGL, grouping up with a team a little bit more might be able to provide a bit more value, especially if he's going to be grabbing this defuse kit over and over.
I hate to be the guy who always kind of thrusts this on Forest, but I am left scratching my head when he does certain things in certain games. He's kind of a bellwether. Call him the canary in the proverbial coal mine. If Forest is doing goofy things and doing them on his own with no support for the team, typically his team's chances plummet. However, his team is 50-50 when he's done that. So far, statistically, not actually as dire as you'd think. He had 2 pretty terrible rounds, falling way below expectations on his role, and yet OXG still persevered, and they had a great read in that very first round. Yaga's gonna walk in, dispatch Newer's. Forest is the first to die on OXG again without having much impact here, but OXG has killed everybody not named Jack in 55 seconds. Make that 56 seconds, sorry. Jay and I know lived about 1 second more. OXG complete the round before we get past the 1 minute mark. Kudos to them. Maybe they have dinner plans. Who knows, Jesse? They are quickly running through this, win or lose. Those have been 3 very fast rounds.
The 57-second round, and all 4 players that died before Jay and I know were top floor players from SSG. Oxygen correctly recognizing these player positions and just said, you know what, let's go send it. Pop that logic bomb, pop the Finka stim. Not sure if they actually did use the logic bomb, but regardless, they managed to push forward together, made a lot of good noise, found that early pick onto Newers. SSG getting a bit run over in these early rounds. Maybe they're finding one guy, but that's not the guy they need to be looking for. It's a lot of these longer angles that SSG are definitely aware of, but I just don't think are expecting to be used so quickly in the round, because Gomez is getting in very fast. Grixer and Yaga are getting very fast, right? Everybody is there together at a really quick pace. So nice from Oxygen to keep that up. You have to assume at some point SSG will read into this and start get a little bit more ready for the fast pushes.
Attackers have located a bomb.
I do like me some Border. There's a growing chorus of voices in the pro scene that talk about this map with some disdain.
10 seconds.
I can vibe with it. I know that Border plays out very similarly, but it is a hectic map. It is a quick map. There's lots of pugilism, lots of violence. I am anti-violence, but in a Rainbow Six setting, I'm pro-pugilism. I'd get down for some punching.
Laying out the welcome mat.
I'm a bit disappointed that Oryx doesn't have the ability to punch, but at least we've got a Rooney as backup.
So true. So well said.
For some bionic beatings that can just be given out, but I do like what Border brings. Yes, when you see it played internationally, it does tend to get a bit rote. It tends to follow the same storyline. It tends to follow the same play style, but I just love that it can be unpredictable. And I do love those messy rounds. I like what we saw. Honestly, shout out to OXG, because I think both of the rounds that they won, highly entertaining. They're off to the races relatively early. 45 seconds into the rounds, they've already crushed Fultz. How's that for a world champion? Sat down on the bench. J9O will join him. OXG clobbering Space Station here. Benja taking some damage from the fire, and Newers is last man standing. Trade Forest and Newers, and you've still got a pretty even split between these teams. Forest go back to SSG, Newers go back to OXG. Still got the same numbers upright. Flawless round for Oxygen, though, as Newers is finished by his former teammate of Yaga, the Yog Dog. 3-1 for OXG. Every round won by OXG has been won with breathtaking speed. Can SSG slow them down? That should be their biggest focus right now.
And the first round where Forest survives, so it's starting to get very desperate for SSG. The one thing they've had through the first quarter, failing to shine through, can't even get their oh-so-important kill. Really does feel like the pace has just been set by Oxygen in these first 4 rounds, right? They're going so quickly. Their entries have been fantastic, and it's slightly annoying for me as a stats guy because they're not technically entries, right? A lot of time they're losing the opening pick first if Forrest or somebody does go down, but in practice, right, in reality, they're taking this space. They're the ones who are making the aggressive plays to open up the map, to enter into the space that's being controlled by SSG. And they're doing so really quickly, really efficiently, and they're catching SSG off guard completely while they do that. It's been this 3-headed spear of Adam, Gomez, and Grixer over and over who are making these fast moves happen. You've got Yaga sitting on the Lion, hitting his EE1D, doing his best. Everybody just seems to be locked in on the side of Oxygen. And with the exception of that second round, where I honestly do not know what the plan was, every other play that they've made has been really well coordinated. It's been fast and aggressive, sure, but everybody's been on the same page, right? Everyone's going in at once with the Lion charge, with the aggressive move, and consistently, Space Station just don't seem to be able to get a handle on what's been happening. I think to an extent, you got to look at their own entry players on SSG. We've seen Ashen perform a little bit so far throughout this game, but Newers is a guy that I've been kind of keeping an eye on, 1-3. He has never in his career gone negative against his old team of Oxygen. He's got a combined plus 17 KDR going up against SSG. I guess it's a differential, not an R. But even still, it's been very strong against this OXG core all season long, and so far, not really getting to see much from him as he's been dying early every round.
He is an enigma, that Forest. I can just never pin him down. I have no idea what he's thinking. Even when I see him at live events, I'm always just confused about what is Forest? What is he doing? Why, like, there are days where we will have perfectly pleasant conversations, and then there are other days where he will bark at me, and I don't understand, and I don't get it. I don't know if you've ever had those encounters with him at live events, but he is, honestly, he might be one of the funniest people I've ever met in this community. And there are times where that sense of humor obviously extends to what we're witnessing in front of us. He can dominate games when he is dialed in. He had a rough start, dying early in those first 2 rounds, but I think he's primed for a comeback.
We'll see how that goes. Top floor, we saw some aggression out of Ashen, and I think that's likely what was talked about in the TAC timeout from Callout, right? Every round, it's been Oxygen setting the pace. Even the round where they lost, right? Where it's Forest in the bomb site. Somebody on OXG is the one who's setting the pace, who's getting aggressive, who's making that play happen. Then we're going to see SSG go for that aggressive swing out. Now we're seeing Space Station try to take back that control, and I think they've done a great job with it. It's only Yaga to be taken out, so it's still got kind of that 3-headed spear of Adam, Gomez, and Grixer that could be looking to make a play, but I mean, we're at the 90-second mark and nobody from Space Station is dead, which is a feat.
By most measures, a relatively slow round. Fultz still searching for his kill. SSG have been lacking in the firepower department, but J9O will eliminate Grixer for the leadoff pick. Adam trades out Benja. Both teams suffering through one. J9O dies at the hands of Forest, and there we go. Fofo-san on the board, doing some serious damage and eliminating the smoke at the same time. Gomez narrowly avoids losing his life as after Forest got that kill, now it's time to complete the objective. Tucked into the corner next to the grinder and workshop, Forest will get away safely. just as SSG emerges and pushes back to the site, but it might be a bit too late as Oxygen have peeled out and will now assume the position in the post plant, making life very difficult for Space Station. Newer's fighting forces upstairs. Whether he drops through the hatch or goes for the stairs himself, it'll be a tough decision to make, and he'll make quite an abundance of noise. Fultz hopping onto that defuse kit, still searching for his first kill, but objective play is just as good. Newers is last man standing as Fultz is taken out. A beautiful play by Newers, but he's about to run out of time. Forrest is the last one left, and yep, there it goes. No opportunity for Newers to do it. Forrest credited with the kill, but the round will still go in OXG's favor, whether Forrest had hid or not. Excellent round from OXG, great round from Forrest, and the timeout from Space Station not making immediate impact.
Yeah, really nice to see them pull back that 3v5 disadvantage. Really felt like Space Station had cracked the code, getting aggressive early, managed to grab their man advantage and take it away from Oxygen, but it just didn't matter. A bit lost on the positioning. That death from J90 in particular, uncharacteristic of him as a player, going down on the bathroom window, didn't realize Forrest was out there, and then Forrest managed to smoke off the plant, gets in the site, holds Zeph, locks down the post plant as he has to as well. Played it really well. Not the craziest round, but he's with his team, he's planting, and that's exactly what OXG needed him to do in a round like that, where Space Station started with such a lead. To be able to pull something like that back from the edge, I think has really started to put a dark shadow over this game if you're SSG. If you just lose the game to Oxygen, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but you got to keep in mind, this is coming in the context of week 1, where they only won 7-5 against Standby, a team who have yet to win a game all stage, and then also got dominated by Wildcard in a 7-2 scoreline. Not saying SSG will lose this game 7-2, but I mean, if it does end 7-2, this is the way it would start.
Talk about the all comebacks start with a single round. Attackers have really had their day today. It has been an incredibly attacker-sided set of games, which might also just speak to the teams that have started on attack. I mean, Clubhouse obviously is a great example of that. The tempo that was set in the very first match with Dark Zero probably should not have been replicated, but most of these matches on paper were one-sided, I think you could say. Oh no, Yaga. Completely botches the first nade, throws out the second one in a desperate attempt as he gets away from it. That is not ideal. Just a valuable piece of utility completely used up. OXG going for a quick pace yet again. Fultz will break his donut, but that's about it. A breadstick for him. He's still baking. Grixer with 2 immediate kills. Fultz and Newers. Space Station down in numbers now. As Forrest still holds on to that diffuser. Line will use 1 of 2 remaining scans. Good gadgetry here on the side of OXG.
J9 still locking down east stairs. He's not really being pressured anymore. Yaga threw a nade to clear the bar, but then didn't really want to deal with it after that point. They are inside of servers, could move their way to workshop. Information's not good enough though. Benja does find Yaga to equalize the numbers at 3-3. SSG will now be trying to group up, play close together so they can play the trades.
Down goes both players from SSG inside the site, leaving Ashen isolated all on his own, and it's Forrest again to fire away wearing his Iron Maiden branded skin. I actually completely forgot that we did an Iron Maiden collaboration, and oh boy, that's just like awoken something in my brain now. OXG are the party people. They are partying. It is a 5-1 first half for Oxygen. Space Station look years removed from their victory in the playoffs just a couple months ago. What is going on with this SSG team?
I mean, it's been fantastic on their attacks here on Border, and for me, the player that's really stood out has been Gomez. Round after round, stepping up for big, aggressive, early round kills as this swarm from Oxygen has consistently been so powerful in the early game, and that's such a contrast to what we saw in the first week. Gomez last week, on attack specifically, had a 3-10 stat line across their first 2 games. Gomez was not able to find any impact playing on the offense, but now 9-2 here in their game against SSG, tripling the kill count than what he had in the first week is absolutely incredible. Now he gets to swap over to the defense, where Gomez has been the better player as well. He had a 1.5 on defense in the first week of play. So he goes to the stronger side. SSG go to a bit of a weaker side as well. Spacestation had their choice of side start, and on Border, there are different philosophies. Some teams like to start on attack. They think it's better. Some teams start on defense. Spacestation chose defensive side to start on first, which means they probably think it's their better side on this map, which means they're in a lot of trouble because they need now to win all 6 attacks if they want their full 3 points. And even for an overtime win, they're going to need to win 5 out of 1 or 5 and 1.
Does not bode well for SSG's chances, and I don't obviously. It's from basic arithmetic. I don't really like them that much. Oxygen has so much wiggle room, Jesse, and we're still doing some site setup. My stream is completely frozen. I don't know if you are suffering through the same thing.
My stream is gone, but I do have a bit of a delayed feed that I can see, so I can tell you that everybody is still alive at the very moment. This is going to be Spacestation's first chance on the attack, and of course it will be top floor. Getting Gomez out of security should be the initial focus, as well as Yaga, who's playing up there. Ashen holding a long angle onto him to hopefully catch him on a swing, but for now it's been very passive from OXG, and they've just been happy sitting in their spots. First minute off the board in Space Station, yet to get very much map control.
Discovery phase. I suspect SSG will not be able to match the pace that OXG put forward. SSG do not typically strike me as a team that is very quick to the punch. Oxygen hasn't really been that team either, so I'm a bit surprised to see this happen. It's a joint effort to take out Yaga. That was the Bucka Benjamaster down below, working alongside Ashen. There's been a lot talked about in regards to Benja's offensive prowess with the addition of Newers on Space Station. It's nice to see Benja getting kills, even if it does have very minimal impact on the overall scoreboard. I mean, Benja going 4 and 5 right now. That's good. SSG being 1 and 5 against OXG, that's not particularly good. Right now, the lineup mostly focused on that top floor, though Ashen still lords from below. Newers will not be around for that much longer. Down he goes. Gomez will die. SSG's guns hitting their marks. I suspect these attackers will continue to do well. That obviously is a good thing for SSG, as now with a minute remains, they're in a 4v2.
Lots to do, Fugrixer and Adam, and that's a really tough one. Goes down to the long angle, Ash play from Ashen. Jane, I know, we'll find the final frag, and it's a clean first attack from Space Station. So my theory that maybe they're not going to be the strongest attacking team on Border will not hold true, at least for the very first. I think starting off strong was really important in that round. The buck play from down below caused a lot of panic on the side of OXG, and then Ashen was in a really good spot to start to capitalize off that. Through both games in week 1, SSG have yet to win a single attack without getting the opening pick. So finding those entry frags is going to be really important for Oxygen. Whoever it might be that gets in that first gunfight, it's really important that they win them, because so far in the North America League, Space Station have really struggled to pull those ones back. Their defenses have been a little bit more successful in that regard, but again, just to win this game or just to force an overtime, they're really going to need to focus on those attacks, which for a team like Space Station means focusing the early game, means getting good drones in and then finding ways to capitalize on that without losing players of your own.
If you're worried about the pace being a bit too quick, you can always bring more trap ops. If you look at what's being brought on the side of OXG, they're going to do just that. They brought a bevy of them in the previous round and did not really work out. SSG were quite adept at taking control of that first floor, and then more importantly, tackling upstairs once most of those defenders have been moved out of the positions that they were in. Goyo canisters will slow you down and halt you for 20 seconds, lest you take an unbelievable amount of damage from his gadgetry. Castle barricades will obviously slow you down unless you have explosives to open them up pretty quick, and then those Banshees from Malusi will function a similar way. The Warden and the Solus are just there for information and to deal with whatever gadgetry is brought on the side of SSG. Solus is usually very good at taking out these drones. Benjamaster is toying with Gomez quite a lot. Finally gets him. Gomez on 10 kills, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about it, right? How good he's been compared to some of his other games, especially on attack. But now is when we can really start to see him shine. Top floor, always so important. It's only a 3-man hold from Yogg, Forrest, and Adam up here, but plenty of util for them to play around is going to give a bit of pause to SSG. You are absolutely correct that the pace is not going to be the same between these two squads. Bomb site is workshop, so the bathroom window not as important. Fault's outside, and the first logic bomb does get called, but it doesn't seem like there's going to be any immediate action being played from that. Still players mostly outside the building, working on the castle barricades, working on the banshees as they start to get in. Yaga might be the first target as he is playing security, but probably has the hatch to fall back.
These rounds by SSG have been much slower. It's something that we've come to expect. All 10 kills of Gomez down for the count. Yaga also dies, looking in the complete opposite direction. Another from Benja. Now it's Adam under fire, doing some serious damage as he fades away through the hatch. All of this contest happening on that top floor, leaving Grixer and Adam to put the pieces together near the bomb site, and they'll do just that. Grixer unloading, almost finding a second target. Punished by Newers on the hatch, leaving Adam all alone. SSG have this in the bag as long as a single bullet can find Adam. He will police and govern those hatches. Also watch towards the main stairs as now he's been droned out of this position. The element of surprise firmly gone. Oil canisters working against him. Now Adam will be paralyzed in this position, 20 seconds away from being able to have any influence on the defuse kit, which was in the process of making it into the bomb site. Nice play by J90 as he held metal top stairs. After they'd isolated that position, the Goyle canister kept OXG from retaking the site. SSG locked them out. A mighty fine entry from Space Station through 2 rounds, giving OXG a taste of their own medicine.
I think you got to give a lot of credit over to Benja. Again, has kind of struggled ever since this new SSG team was formed at the start of the year with Newers coming on. Has not been the best player statistically, but manages to drone out Gomez inside of customs, then gets that first frag, works his way over towards metal stairs where he finds the second frag onto Forest as well. Then it was that top floor clear that came through so strongly from SSG2, right? They had the logic bomb being played by Newers. Ashen was the guy to get forward, and I think they kind of were able to clear that top floor so successfully because there were no other players up top to really help out, at least not close enough to those top floor roamers. Yaga getting shot by Ashen, and there's no trade to speak of because everybody else is over towards offices or they're up towards top metal where they end up just going down to that play from Benja downstairs too. So unable to trade on the defensive side are Oxygen and Space Station. Will get their second attack in a row. Yet another round, though, where they do start off very strong. They get that entry frag, they find the opening pick, and then they can work in with their advantage. I still think the struggles might come if they have to have a round where they don't find the opening pick. Could prompt OXG to do what SSG did after the attack timeout and just start playing hyper-aggressive, go for some swings, go for some runouts.
At this point, something's gotta work. Something's gotta stick. Your offense has completely dried up on the side of OXG. This does happen on border, though, right? It's a small map. You can get trapped in positions. If you're not swinging, you're gonna get swung, and OXG's finding that out the hard way through 2 rounds. SSG breaking all conventions now on their third attack as they're pressuring the building very quickly. Ashen, in particular, taking up space in front of OXG. Ben just died, and now Ashen dies as well. That was a nice play by Yogg. Volt's the only one on the board for Space Station. Him and J90, longtime teammates. What can they accomplish together? All this action happened. 6 players remain. 2 minutes on the clock. That is an absurd amount of time for SSG to work with. They will need to be very, very fine about what they do next, as they are outmanned and outgunned.
If they group up towards east, Faults has the ability to start opening up the wall at the bottom of these stairs to get into the site. The hatch has, of course, been opened at this point, too, so Faults has a couple different ways to get into the site. Definitely looks like he's favoring the hatch, but with 90 seconds, again, they can really take their time with this. Dropping would be kind of scary, as there is a player over inside a workshop, but they don't get the kill. Faults is in a plant spot.
Oh, Grixer lines him up, knocks him down. J90 is far enough removed. He sees Gomez. Gomez will increase his lead on the team for kills and move OXG to match point. A valiant effort from Space Station. They switched things up. They wanted to go quick. They wanted to get into the building. They wanted to knock OXG off stride. I think there was potential there, but Benja was all on his own. There was very little support for the blitz. Once both of those two died, the jig was up. OXG knows you're coming in hot, and they are ready to cool you off. A castle and a buck ban are intriguing, Jesse.
Yeah, both been used effectively through that third quarter so far. I was correct in saying the first time we see an entry frag go the way of Oxygen in the second half, Spacestation could fall apart, and that's exactly what ended up happening. Yaga, huge 2K entry, started Oxygen off on the right foot, and from there it was good to close out that round. Yaga's best career finish at an international event was him getting top 4 at the Berlin Major back on the X-Set days when he used to play with Kino and Gomez and everybody else that was on that roster. The Yog Dog is hoping to get back to Germany this stage, finish the job, make it to top 2, get that first place result, top what is currently his best result as a player. Speaking of the Yog Dog, you can get the Berlin Major drone skin, which features a wiener dog on the face of it, which is, I think, kind of fun.
Dachshund. Or Dachshund, as I think some Europeans like to call it.
I can't pronounce words like that, so I say wiener dog, but I'm pretty sure it's the same thing.
They are indeed the same thing. Jesse, are we in a timeout? Do you know what's going on here?
Parker, my feed is frozen on Forrest's beautiful face.
Oh, well, we're back in the action now. There we go. We are back. We are back on a top-down view. Is it working for you?
Nope.
Oh. Okay, well, feel free to rejoin. Bring yourself back.
10 seconds remaining.
Thank you, let me know.
5 seconds remaining.
Everything except for the Grim on the side of SSG has been swapped up. They'll go with a
Attackers are
completely different lineup. OXG bringing tools that work. Lots of shotguns, lots of high rate of fire weapons to deal with close quarters engagements. The firepower on the side of OXG will not be lacking, that's for certain. Forrest will start off the round by spraying the Scorpion through the jail wall, then immediately gizmodding front door. And he can sit in that position and do pretty well. He'll gain information from it. SSG don't want to engage in that direction, so instead they'll circle around to deal with archives and to deal with passport. I like that SSG are not tackling OXG head on because so far, OXG have prevailed in most of those duels.
No matter where you go, though, you're going to find somebody on Oxygen. Down inside of waiting will be Grixer, who is tasked with locking down the east side of the map. Forrest is rotated this way, too. He's actually walked, I believe, down metal now into customs. Could have dropped the hatch, too. That makes 2 players on the main floor that SSG will have to be wary of. They've got a drone, as we can see here in Rafters, but that doesn't necessarily see the players down below who could walk back up this staircase and cause a massive amount of havoc. Faults will see that, but unfortunately doesn't manage to get the kill. Spotted before he can spot the enemy and does go down. The opening death now to Forrest. And that's Defuse Kit too, Parker.
Forrest, for the record, gets the kill. Now it's Ashen to die too. And SSG are suffering a catastrophic failure, it would look like, as they attempt liftoff. Yaga reduces Benja Master to rubble. Newers is gone too, and J90 with a kill onto Yaga is the last one alive. SSG, hoping to keep this one close, have failed in the attempt. And now it's all up to Oxygen to sit around and wait pretty. Forrest, 7-5, by the way. He's looking to go for 8, but it's Adam to get the very final pick. Forrest a triumphant roar as he gets revenge against his old team. And OXG picks up all 3 points in a relatively easy matchup.
For the first time this season, OXG vanquished their demons. They made that trade way back at the start of the season, and it looked like it was SSG favored, but now Oxygen battling back. Really good map from them. Their attacks on border look absolutely phenomenal, and for SSG, still through 3 play days, yet to find a single attack where they don't get the opening pick. We are done with the games for the day, but we do have a desk waiting to break this down and an interview with our winners, so we'll go straight to them.
I can call back. I can call concrete. Right?
Go army now. Go army.
No, I'm playing Archon. Playing Archons.
He has to go east.
Walk
I
them
can
Archon.
call. Yo, play close to me. Peeking.
Printer. Nice! Guys, come on!
Shit,
Let's
bro.
fucking go!
Way to fucking go, dude. Holy
That's
shit.
the play style right
should
there,
have looked
bro.
like, boys.
Let's go, guys.
This is what playoff should have looked like, bro.
Bro.
Got
that's-
watching my
bro.
son.
Tell them. All right, a 7-3 win for OXG against SSG. Wish we had the predictions from the side of the analysts going in favor of SSG, and understandably so. They were the first seed in last NAL stage, but OXG gave them a run for their money today, and Forrest was the spearhead for that as well. Congratulations on your win today, Forrest. You were so hype at the end. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling a lot of relief because, like, I really didn't want to lose this game at all. So I'm glad we won it.
Nothing personal, right? Absolutely not.
More like the border matchup. Like, we can for sure beat these guys on border.
Right. And you guys did. Well, first things first, we see the tattoo. Second thing, congratulations. And third thing, obviously, how week 1 went. You guys are trying to bounce back in week 2, put a little bit of a stand for your guys' self. What was the biggest change for you as an IGL taking it from week 1 going into week 2?
I think the biggest thing is that we just got to keep our plans like fresh and just not like lose the game and lose ourselves, because that's kind of what's been happening. We kind of just lose ourselves at the time and silly mistakes and some of the grunt pan just still bleeding into our games, but we really focus on playing together in practice this week and do strategy. So.
Yeah, first of all, for you personally, I mean, obviously we highlighted the game, your guys' cafe game, where you were on the shield, and there was a couple times where you overextended.
Oh, he even knows.
I mean, what can I say?
I just wanted to know personally for you as the leader, obviously, how do you hold yourself accountable in situations like that to improve as well?
It's better to make the mistakes now and then not to make them later in the future. So, like, make the mistake now, just don't do it again later.
For sure. Well, Forrest, as Fox was just saying, one, congratulations on the win. I'm sure that was a huge matchup that you wanted to win, obviously, throughout the previous stage in the EWC to get the win here. I've talked about, obviously, with your shield play in particular, like, in so many scenarios, you have the position that you need. I think in some areas, like, I feel if you slow down in those areas, I think you find far more success in some of those rounds. Granted, of you saying, like, make these mistakes now, don't make them later. I think it's just something, if you were tend to slow down in those moments, I feel in so many different areas, you guys find far more success early on in those attacking rounds.
Yeah. And today we played no shields, and it was kind of masterclass. So
you're saying you don't need shields anymore?
I mean, I can shoot back sometimes, y'all. So, like,
well, I think we know that you can shoot back. I've always said it throughout times. I mean, even back when you were playing support, you were the only support player that would be the first entry into a site. I think maybe we got to start seeing that Fofo back in line with things.
I'm just gonna keep the Fofo for the team, like whatever we need, Like, if we gotta play an op or something, like, I'm just gonna get it done.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah, you guys got it done today as well. Wish puts you higher up on the standings as well, and must feel really good too. Like, SSG was one of those teams that they did really well in stage 1, so knocking them off that list, considering they're your previous teammates as well. All in all, happy?
I mean, you can't ask for anything better than a win. So yeah, I'm happy.
Good. Well, good to know. Thank you so much for your time for the interview, and once again, congrats. Maybe we'll see you around for another interview. Keep it going.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. That was also a solid performance from OXG, 7-3. It's not like they just this was a close match and it was a back and forth and, oh my gosh, is OXG going to win it? And it came down to the wire. No, it's like OXG just showing them, we got this.
I mean, maybe it's Forrest realizing that they don't need shields, that he can play into his strengths of just being able to focus on calling, finding those gaps, which he was finding those gaps. I want to give him credit, especially in that matchup. I mean, while the other team was causing chaos, he was then rushing into site, going for that defuse and getting it down and then being able to play those post plants. So, I mean, great performance from Forrest as we were talking about throughout the prep of this. But again, for Oxygen as a whole, these attacks were very impressive. They were very well coordinated. Players were working together. And don't let me sleep on Gomez and Adam by any means. Those two were doing such a good job at creating that space, creating that chaos, and diminishing the ranks of SSG throughout that attacking side.
I think that's something that we've talked about so heavily is who's going to step up and be that entry, that spearhead, and it was always Adam or Gomez, one of those two. And Gomez as a player individually has constantly been trying to improve since joining OXG, and obviously, you know, finally we're seeing glimpses of it. We're seeing it a little bit more consistent. Adam as well been playing super amazing, and it's nice to see that without the shield, we have two players for OXG that will be that spearhead, because that allows Forrest to be way more hands-on when it comes to the IGLing. And obviously, what goes without saying, I think the confidence that OXG came into this matchup with was such a big difference maker, because that's something that we know that OXG has always been relatively a quiet team. So you need somebody who's going to be eccentric, screaming, keeping the energy up. And we saw in the game, the round win comms, that Forrest was exactly that.
Absolutely. And honestly, I personally wouldn't mind if Forrest hopped back onto that supportive role and still played that aggressive style that he's always had, because even back on that Astralis roster and way back when, he thrived in that for whatever reason. Because again, back when we played, I never saw any support player do even half the stuff that Forrest did. And I think coming on that SSG roster forced him into a shield scenario where I feel maybe he felt he has to be on these shields now, given the meta, given the teams that he's been on. But maybe he does kind of fall back into that. And then he can, like you were saying, being able to lead from an outside perspective of not necessarily being in someone's face and having to do the same thing.
Yeah, looking as well at every single one of the games that we've seen today, especially this last one, I think a lot of question mark remains when it comes to SSG and how they have performed today and like what really is going on in there. But if there's any team I feel like that has that ability and that structure and the behind the scenes going on to be able to figure it out as quickly as possible, it is going to be SSG. But for a reminder as well, in terms of the schedule, the games that we have been looking at today, we started things off with Cruelty against DZ, and that was a very one-sided match. And then we had C9 that went up against Shopify, and that was also a very one-sided match. Wildcard M80 is the one that delivered when it came to both of these teams being very closely matched, and again, really coming down to that clutch from Kino to be able to push this one over the edge. But all in all, what would you say was the biggest upset of today, Foxy?
I think the biggest upset has to go for OXG SSG. Everyone expected SSG to at least keep it a lot closer than they would have, maybe even potentially won. As for the rest of the games, I'd say arguably the favorites won, but it's nice to see that Wildcard definitely kept it really close. They could have easily won that game themselves.
No, like Ginny said, it was that clutch from Kino that I think really just propelled the motivation from M80 and just really gave the fire from underneath them to really just close out overtime where Wildcard just couldn't get it done. Again, Wildcard threw that in so many different areas.
Yeah,
where
they're going to be
it out.
kicking themselves about that tomorrow
Definitely.
as well. But you know, the clutch from Kino was not the only clutch that we had today. We had quite a few of them. And Surf specifically is the one that's standing out for the black light detail, because that was a game changer.
Oh, absolutely.
Say the
I mean,
least.
they were already doing very well, but at the situation when you lose a 1v5, mentally you cannot be in it as the losing team. For Surf to be in a 1v5 and never give up, and like you said, they give them the 1v1s, but still, to be able to constantly win those 1v1s and always be gun up, guard ready, I think that was beautiful. And watching him play this 2v1 situation, it wasn't just them giving him the 1v1s, he was isolating those individual gunfights, making sure he was taking those fights. He pops the smoke canister.
He popped the...
rotates into the open with a pistol. Yeah. The ingredients, the environmental ingredients, to see him use that.
No, it was impressive. I think not only were we like in awe at the amount of kills that he was grabbing, but especially in that moment when he shot that canister and the smoke screen went out and then he repositioned to take advantage of that.
Genius.
I mean, genius. Absolute genius.
Yeah, and absolute cinema as well from the side of Surf. That was beautiful. But with the wins and the losses that have been secured today, the standings are also changing. NB found themselves still
Stop the count.
they're still at the top with 9 points in total, followed by M80, SR, DZ, OXG, and Wildcard at number 5. What I would really like to see is for Cruelty and Standby LFO to get at least 1 point.
Yeah,
this week.
I mean, that's definitely going to be the difficulty maker. Both of these teams, you know, are in growing pains experiences. I mean, we'd expected a lot more from Standby. Although they lost 0-3, it's not really indicative of their performance.
Definitely not.
As for Cruelty, you know, I don't know. You'd really have to pay me to find out a positive thing to say about their current performance. It's very difficult.
You know what? Instead, I'm just going to cut you off and we're going to look at the schedule for tomorrow, because we still have another play day this week, and with that 5 more best of ones coming your way for the teams to actually have a chance to get some points. Standby LFO going up against SR is, how do I put this, mildly, gently, kindly.
They're
I don't know.
Hey, they're still being competitive. Sure, it's against
Yeah.
SR, but even their first 2 matchups, I mean, they were relatively close. So you can't count them out. It's just a matter of will they push to OT and at least secure a point.
That'll be tough.
I don't think they're gonna give Sir 5 isolated 1v1s.
They might.
They might.
you
They
don't know.
might.
It'll be tough.
Yeah.
It'll be tough.
Either way, DZ M80 is the game that I'm personally going to be looking at. What about you, Lax?
Honestly, Oxygen versus Wildcard. One, to see how Wildcard can bounce back, and then for Oxygen to see if they can replicate that exact same performance today. And again, if we maybe don't see Forrest on that shield, what those attacking halves look like, because that's where I critique them the most, is they lack depth on attack, but today would completely go against everything that I have said and critiqued. They look significantly better, so I want to see if that trend continues.
Why are you looking at the schedule so disgusted?
No, I'm not. I was just looking at it. I'm impressed because all the games, in my opinion, I feel like will be a lot closer. Besides maybe the first one, hopefully Standby is able to show up. But Cruelty Cloud9, I think that might be a lot closer than we expect. Envy SSG, with the way SSG's been looking right now, with the way Envy's been performing right now, that'll be a great matchup if they can get that win.
If they can get, they'll set
Wow,
themselves up
that puts
pretty well.
themselves in a great spot to just even secure top 6. Even if you lose the rest of the matches, points are so important, even early on, because it can already secure you. So, stage 1, the battle for 6 was between 6 and 7 points.
Literally.
6, 7.
8. Either way, thank you, gentlemen, for your invaluable insights on today's matchups. Damn, that was so professional. Anyways, guys, we are going to be back tomorrow, same time, same place, with 5 best of ones here at the NAL. Until then, take care of yourselves, have a good night, and we will see you tomorrow.